Welcome to Bay Rats and Buoys with your host, Captain Gaige.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bay Rats and Buoys. This is Season 2, episode number 28. I can't believe it. Brought to you in part by Cito Huntington. Are you a member? Visit Cito.com. And the Fisherman Magazine, my favorite magazine to get in the mail. Get your subscription today. And CLiX Fueling. Visit CLiXFueling.com. What's up, guys? Welcome back. I can't believe it. We're just 59 days away from our first annual Striped Bass Invitational going down on Sunday, June 22nd. So make sure you get over to the website, stripedbassinvitational.com, and register your boat today. Super excited about that. We got some great news with the tournament. In fact, we've been getting nothing but great news for the last hour. I mean, everything that's coming in is like incredible. It really is. So we got a lot to talk about, a lot of good stuff going on. But it's funny. You know how things come full circle sometimes, and CLiX Fueling, this came full circle. I was over at Compass Rose talking to Mike in Huntington, and he tells me a story. And this goes back to Bay Rats and Buoys at the New York Boat Show at the Javits Center. So he asks me if I recognize the name Silverstein. I said, of course. And he said, well, he was here in the shop. And I don't know if it was Howard or Steven from CLiX Fueling, but one of them was over at Compass Rose. And he said to Mike, hey, do you have YouTube? You have access to YouTube? And he's like, sure. So Mike pulls up his YouTube. Either Howard or Steven takes him to the podcast, Bay Rats and Buoys and CLiX Fueling, that we did at the boat show, and he plays for him the episode that we aired of CLiX Fueling from the New York boat show at the Javits Center, where I did talk about Mike from Compass Rose in that episode, and I totally forgot about that. You know, these episodes go by so fast. Geez, it's hard to keep up with every week. If you ask me which episode was what, it's very hard for me to remember. It really is. I got to go back and look. I even had to look today to see what episode I have to do. Just to give you a heads up, you know, it's been that busy. And, you know, like I say, this time of the year, you have certain windows to get out. So we knew we were going to go out on Monday and run the boat, and we went into Compass Rose. We needed some stuff to pick up for the boat. And we were actually going out. There's always a rod or two on the boat. We always make sure we leave with a couple of rods. But we didn't bring any GoPros and go crazy because we were going to run far and run around and head west. And we had some stuff fixed on the boat, which I'm going to speak of because I got to speak highly of somebody that I know for many, many years. And he, too, goes back to the New York Boat Show. So it was really nice to hear from Mike at Compass Rose, the compliments that he gave about Bay Rats and Buoys, the podcast, and the flow to it, and the interviews and the stuff like that. It really was. It was really nice to hear. And a great shop. I always recommend it. I recommend anybody that needs to get any parts or anything for their boat. I get all my stuff from Mike at Compass Rose, everything. And he's top notch, you know. So if he doesn't have it in the shop, he's going to have it for you the next day. And that kind of service is what we're all looking for. Everybody's ordering from Amazon. I won't order from Amazon. I'd rather go to the local shops and support the local guys way before I support Mr. Bezos. So CLiX Fueling, boat show. Next guy at the boat show. I had a problem with my engine, and it was an intermittent thing. I had two specialists come down that are really good at wiring and looking at stuff and testing all the wires. They came down. We changed all kinds of parts and things and wires and harnesses and oil reserves and floats. And the problem that arose was the oil tank on the engine wasn't filling up from the oil tank on the boat. It would do it manually if you held the switch, but it wasn't doing it when the float got down to say, hey, it's time for you to fill up, and it wouldn't do it. Last year we get out there, start the boat up in April, and the problem's gone. And we're like, uh-oh. So we knew right out of the gate from the two people that looked at the boat and checked it out, we knew it was an electrical problem. Yamaha was telling them the whole time as they're diagnosing it that it's a wire. It's an electrical issue. I mean, so we put new harness, we tried all kinds of things, and it didn't fix the problem. So last year, there was a time where the wires that go into the engine, that clamp that holds them there, had fallen down like 6 inches. So I went to Mike at Compass Rose and I got a new clamp, put it on, and guess what? The problem came back. So by me fixing the wires, obviously moved the wire, something happened. And the reason I tell you all this, because we all have boats. We know that you're going to go through all kinds of things in your lifespan on a boat. Everybody's got all kinds of issues. And when your boat's running great, it's running great. You're happy. Everything's great. It's fine. Until something's not fine. So at the boat show, I mentioned this to Keith over at Yamaha at Britannia Yachting Center, who I know for many, many years. And back when I worked at Freedom Boat Club, he was the one that worked on the fleet. So I had 20 boats that I was in charge of, and he was the mechanic to get anything and everything done. When something broke, he was the one to fix it. Whether it was changing a lower unit, didn't matter. He was capable. He did it all. He's a master mechanic. So I spent 5 days with him because he's my buddy, talking to him at the boat show, just catching up on life, which was awesome. And we have a lot of funny stories, too. You got to remember, I've had to help his brother on the water. We got tons of stories. So I described the problem to him. I described what we fixed. He was down at my marina last year, and I did bring it up to him. He was working on the boat next to me, which was just ironic. I actually picked on him and said, we got to get a gate here and lock this marina. I can't believe they let people like you in here. I mean, that's the kind of ball breaking that goes on in the industry. You guys know that. In any job. So at the boat show, I said, I'm going to bring the boat to you. I need you to fix this problem. And sure enough, I mean, it was probably less than an hour that he figured out that it was a ground wire, and that's why it was an intermittent problem. And sometimes it was on, sometimes it didn't, and gone, fixed. So we ran the boat. We were testing it. Me and Kory ran all over the place. The good news was the water temperature. So thank you, Keith. The moral of that story is Keith is the man. He's awesome. He's probably the best Yamaha master mechanic here on Long Island. That's why he was at the boat show representing Yamaha at the New York Boat Show. For anybody that had any questions, because they are coming out with some new engines. You got to keep up with the competition. You got to keep up with the Joneses. Mercury came out with a 600 horsepower engine, and what do you think? Yamaha's just going to sit there and watch their competition break out the big guns? They're breaking out big guns, so there's all kinds of new stuff, which is great. But Keith is the guy that knows everything about it, and I love the fact that I brought it to him, and he got it done, and that's that. Now I'm going to have an epic season because of that. So thank you, Keith, and thank you, Mike, at Compass Rose for the kind words, and thank you to CLiX Fueling for bringing up the YouTube channel at Compass Rose. Really appreciate you guys. So I like when things go full circle. I really do. It's kind of cool. And there's a lot of people to thank with Bay Rats and Buoys these days. Jeez, M&G Marine, he came to the house. He tuned up the engine. He's my mobile guy. It bounces around whenever I need stuff done. So he's great to get stuff done on the boat. He'll be working on the boat this weekend. So we ran out Monday, water temperature, back bay, in the back of the harbor, 55 degrees. That was really nice to see. Got out into Huntington Bay, water temperature, 53 degrees. Great to see. Got out into the Sound, 50 degrees. That was great to see. We did see a lot of bait. The fish are here, guys, and it's really starting to turn on out there. So I think this is the time where anybody and everybody can get out there on your windows. When you got windows of opportunity like we had a charter this weekend, it's going to be blowing. So if it's not fun and it's not going to be a great day, we're going to reschedule. It's what we do. We're very, very easygoing when it comes to that, to schedule and try to get you the right tide and everything. That's what we look for. We look for the best optimal times and tides to get out there when they're biting. Because, man, I'll tell you, from Monday, me and Kory bounced around to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different areas looking for them. We found them. We saw them. But we went out at dead low tide. So we went out at dead low tide, and I got to say, and I don't know if it's in April, but it's in the captain's log now. The incoming tide has not been the greatest tide for us to get them on the bite and get them chewing. It has been on the outgoing tide. It's been a lot better, 100%. So that held true for Monday. But we didn't go out there to go out and kill it. We went out there to really run the boat and make sure that everything was going to work, jump a few wakes, rattle it around a little bit, and see if we could break it again. And we weren't able to do that. So, Keith, you done good, buddy. You done good. And I love you for it. So, and we got more great news. There's more great stuff happening. There really is. Like today's email from the DEC. I mean, stuff takes time. And this goes back to the boat show with conversations with them. It's April and stuff is just coming to fruition because things have to get approved, especially when you're dealing with state agencies and things like that. So nobody understands more than me. I totally get it. I do. And scheduling's the biggest thing. So the email I got today from the DEC was, yes, they're going to come on the podcast, and now we're scheduling a date and a time to come on. And I think most likely I'm going to go to the DEC building to do it there, because I do it on my boat. I could do it anywhere. This past Tuesday night, I would have been fishing all day Tuesday and all day Wednesday for sure. That was my kind of weather, 100%. But Tuesday, I had my executive networking event at Oheka Castle. So I sat and did a business podcast with 6 executive owners of companies, which you could check out at ideastreammarketing.com. We're just starting to put those podcasts up from Tuesday. I'm just sending them out to the people now as I was sitting here today prior to this. So it's been super busy, and I hate being busy on days that I could be out there on my boat. I really do. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. There's nothing worse than having something that you have to do, and it's keeping you from being on your boat. But I always say to myself, it's April and May. You have windows of opportunity to get out there, and you got to take them. You can't fish every day in April and May. You can't. It's impossible weather-wise. And today the mic's moving. So I got to tighten things up here and tighten the clamp. Let's see if we can do that now and keep this from falling off here. And that's what I said at Oheka Castle to them. I said, listen, if I got to move something, we're just going to do it during the podcast. I'm not stopping. There's no editing. I'm leaving that all in there. I'm going to drink my soda and enjoy talking to you guys. It's actually hot in here today. And I really wanted to be on my boat today. I really did, but today was the day, because I was busy Tuesday and Wednesday, to come in and actually bang out the radio shows that I'm obligated to do until May 10th. So we're under contracts with radio stations, so you have to get stuff done. So episode 29, it will be the 3rd episode of season 2. Will be the first one that I do from the boat, and the boat's in the water. It's in the marina. It is good to go. It's getting some nice upgrades this weekend. Super excited about that. Uncle Sam gave me all my money back already, so that was kind of quick. That was good. So that goes into a few of the upgrades on the boat. Very excited. And M&G Marine will be there installing some new stuff. So we're going to make it easy to get on some fish this year. It's going to be a little easier than last year. And, we're going to run across. Me and Kory were just talking. We're going to run across to the Bass Pro Shop in Connecticut, right over there in Bridgeport. So instead of driving over there, we're going to take the boat across the sound. I love to do everything by boat. So even when I got to run errands in Huntington, I do it all by boat. It's great. I love going down the harbor and going to places and doing as much as I can by boat. And that's why I make cool videos while I'm doing it with just my phone, And I'll post them up and say, here's the conditions, here's what's going on. And I always have a drone or two laying around that I can fly up there and show people the conditions, which I will start doing on a daily basis when I'm down at the marina every day, which happens in like 2 weeks. We're pretty close to that time of the year. So you guys know, I'm sure you guys, I still have friends that have their boats covered, And I know how that feels, when you're so busy that you can't uncover your boat. You sit there and you say, man, I'm missing out. So I call them up and I'm like, yo, you're not missing out on much, man. The fish are here, but it's not like lights out. And even the size of the fish that I'm seeing from Raritan Bay, I'm seeing some good fish. I am. But the fish that I'm seeing there too are, the ones we're catching here, 29, 30-inch fish, catching slots. Of course, you're going to get your overs, 100%, but they're making their way. There was a big bunker pod over by the Throgs Neck Bridge. It was a huge bunker pod. So it's nice to start to see the bait. They're going to start coming out of the rivers on the Connecticut side. You're going to start to see the bunker pods getting worked. And there's nothing better for me. When I can get out there on live line, there's nothing better. That's to me, top water action and live lining are probably my top two, and I'd have to put the jigging as the number third, whether it be a flutter spoon or the Nomad Vibe that I talk about all the time, or the Squid Treks. And I'm telling you all the things that I use. So during the season, we're going to show this stuff to you. We're not holding anything back this year. We're going to show you everything we do, all the equipment we use, all the gear that we're throwing out there. And this way, if it helps you become better at what we're doing and what you're doing and what we love to do, which is to go fishing, go boating, do all that, keep it safe. So you notice I'm talking about all this work that you have to put into the boat and the tuning up and the changing of the water pumps and all the, the thermostats and all the little things. So to me, all those little details add up to having a much better season because you're more efficient, you're more productive because your boat is running smooth and, mechanically, it's good to go, which to me is most important. It really is. I saw Eric out there, so the Why Not was leaving the harbor. I took a picture of him, and I shot that over to Eric. That was pretty cool. He was like, thanks, buddy. And it's always good to see my 380 Outrage going out there, and I say mine because he hires me a couple of times throughout the year to take him and some business buddies of his fishing. And then when it's the family fun time and they want to go across to the Great Captain Island Reef in Connecticut and hang out or go to different places, he brings on Captain Gaige, which is a ton of fun. And I love driving that boat. And, he's like, I tell you the story all the time. He's like, knock the hats off, Gaige, and boom, 55 hats are gone. And we try to lose your hat. It's pretty funny, actually, because he'll give you a hat with the name of his boat if you lose your hat. And if you really want your hat, I'll go back and get it. I really, I don't mind doing 360s on 38-foot outrages. They're a lot of fun. So the fishing's hot right now, all across Long Island. It really is. South Shore's getting them. Raritan Bay is getting them. I know guys from the South Shore that came to the North Shore this week and caught some fish in the back bays over in Hempstead Harbor. They had some success back there. I've seen people having success even in the back of Cold Spring Harbor. So the fish are going to be where the bait is, and the bait along the beaches is 2 to 3 inches. We saw the bait. So you got some silversides there. And me and Kory said when we saw them, I said, all right, now's the time. We didn't bring the cast net. None of that was on the boat. So we're going to start bringing the cast nets out and start showing you the size of the bait and what's around and whether there's herring, whether there's bunker, whether it's silversides, whatever it is, we're going to start showing it to you and you can see the sizes. So maybe that helps you match the hatch to catch these striped bass because to me, that's the best way. If I can go out there and find the bait, I'm going to find the fish. And I kind of have an idea with the tide and the wind direction and what's going on, where the bait's going to be. But again, it's fishing, and they're moving. They're not always in the same spot. We love doing it. You know that. Now, soon you're not going to see the green buoy in here because I'm going to have to give that back to Nick at Volpe Marine because that buoy's going in the harbor. You're going to see that in Northport Harbor. I can etch my initials on it so I can prove to you when it's out there. It's either going to be in Northport or Huntington, one or the other. But I'm not going to etch my initials in there. It's not my thing. I wouldn't even put a sticker on it. Kept it in great shape. And he told me I can scratch it up, scuff it up. Don't worry. It's going to the water. It's not a big deal. And Nick, I would never do it to you. But if you guys need mooring or any kind of dock service, reach out to Volpe Marine. All right, head over to volpemarine.com and get in touch with Nick. He is awesome, and he is the best service in our area, whether you're in Northport Harbor, Northport Bay, Huntington Harbor, or Huntington Bay. Reach out to Volpe Marine. Top notch. Doesn't get any better than that. Let's see what else we got on the agenda here. So we mentioned to you that the DEC's coming on. That was the email. That was the latest and greatest news. of the day here. What else? M&G's coming down to the boat. Maybe I'll show you a video. I'll show you some parts of the video of what we're doing to the boat for some upgrades. Thanks to Uncle Sam. We appreciate Uncle Sam. And we also appreciate J&M Seafood. I got him here too, Matt. I got to shout out Matt. You know, I was talking about him over at Oheka Castle. And he's got a great operation. I stopped into the shop. You know, I was there for like an hour. And he's like, you taking home any seafood? And I'm like, I'm heading the other direction. I got to go down to Britannia. I got to go down to see Keith. And I wasn't going home. So normally if I'm in my truck, there's a cooler right here. I got a huge 65-quart Igloo cooler that I keep around the dock and the back of the truck. You know, I'm always loaded up with ice ready for, you know, anything. So you never know. Whether we're throwing bait in there, catching bait, throwing in there, putting it in live well, all kinds of stuff. You know, any fisherman has a cooler in the back of his truck. That's how it is. And I didn't have my cooler with me, so I had to pass on taking seafood. And I got home, and sure enough, my wife's got shrimp in the fridge. I swear to God. Can't make this stuff up. And I should have surprised her with some great stuff from Matt. But next time, Matt, you know, we just spoke yesterday. Great stuff. And, I mean, we appreciate him being a crazy. So he's the grand prize sponsor for Bay Rats and Buoys' first annual Striped Bass Invitational going down Sunday, June 22nd. We're very excited about that. And we're very excited how excited he is about the tournament in general, you know, as far as promoting it and, you know, talking about future events and stuff like that. So it's just great when you got local guys like that. Not only that, back you and support you with what you're doing, but they want to be involved to all capacities. Like he's figuring out ways to get involved, which is what I love. It's awesome. And I was down on the dock, and sure enough, here comes somebody, and I'm wearing the J&M Seafood hat that he gave me when I was at his shop. And they saw the hat, and they were like, hey, look, oh, Matt, he's sponsoring your tournament, you know? And so when you're doing the podcast, you put it up on social media, you just put it up. You don't realize, you know, who's listening and who's going to. But it seems like everywhere we go locally that people are tuning in and they're actually listening to the podcast, and you know, they're complimenting and giving me great feedback on it, and that's all fine. We love you guys. We love the audience we have. We're really growing this thing to a whole nother level. It's taken off, and there's a reason why we don't just have anybody as a guest on the show, especially in the studio. Most of the people want to come down and sit on the boat. And a lot of people are saying, we'll come down when we do it. Maybe we go out fishing. Of course they want to go out fishing. Who wouldn't? You know, so they come down, they'll sit on a boat, we'll do the podcast. Hell, I'll do the podcast out in the middle of the Long Island Sound. I cannot wait to start doing that, and that is going to happen as soon as the weather is perfect for us. I can podcast from anywhere, all right? And that's what's great about this. I did create this 28 episodes ago on my boat, using a little GoPro. We've obviously upgraded, you know, at the boat show. We went out and bought better cameras and stuff like that and better equipment, backdrops and all kinds of stuff. And so just to make the production better. But even like Tuesday at Oheka Castle for the executive networking event, you know, if you look at the videos, there's 2 microphones, me and a guest sitting in the library at Oheka Castle. And, you know, the backdrop looks fake. It's a huge library. It's a huge room, you know, with 30-foot ceilings. And people are looking at it, and they're like, wow, that looks fake. And I'm like, well, that's got to be a compliment because it's a real room we're in. And if it looks fake, then, man, we really pulled it off because it looks like we're trying to fool you, and it's not. It's just a cool place to be. And it's just nice having the quality to be able to record anywhere and get good quality audio. So to me, that's trust me, the audio is really a key part of having a successful podcast or any video that you're making. Because if the audio's not good, they don't want to listen, they don't want to watch. You know, so that's always been a big part of my theory behind anything that I produce. The audio has to be really good. And we even have some new voiceovers for season 2 and commercials that we're working on to promote the first annual Striped Bass Invitational going down Sunday, June 22nd. You guys can register your boats. Head on over to stripedbassinvitational.com. Super excited about that. And there's more people this week that I got to reach out to. We're going to be real busy as of, charters start this weekend. It's going to be blowing. We have charters every weekend moving forward from here out with a couple of, 3 or 4, weekday charters, which is always great. That's the best time to get out, guys, because Saturday and Sunday, that's when everybody has off. And so you got everybody out there, and there's definitely guys that don't know what they're doing that can get in the way. And we say that because it happens all the time. And, I try not to yell over to anybody and start in and out. I'm usually a pretty nice guy out there. There's so many areas to fish. I like to stay away from the areas that are the busiest and usually the most crowded. And there's plenty of room out there. But it's just not everybody does the right thing. So we definitely laugh on my boat and have some fun. I've even had little kids yelling at other boats, when they saw them doing something wrong. 10, 11-year-old kids yelling at them, and I was cracking up. I was like, oh, my God. I looked at their father, and I was like, this is great. I'm like, they're speaking their minds, and it was really good. So we mentioned Compass Rose, we mentioned CLiX, we did J&M, Nick Volpe. The magazine, I think we're going to have an article coming out. Check it out, May 1st. This is my favorite Long Island magazine. It's my favorite fishing magazine. I don't have any other fishing magazines that I read other than the Fisherman magazine. So we do have a article coming out for there's going to be an ad in here, There's going to be an ad in here for the tournament. So you guys could just scan the QR code and head over to the website and register your boat. It's really, really simple. And I know the weather's going to die down next week from what I'm looking at. And again, I downloaded that app and I said this to Kory. I said, look, I'm on the podcast telling everybody, get your stuff in order, and I'm getting out there and I'm running my apps and doing everything, making sure that everything's been updated before I got there and that it works. And that I've subscribed, and that none of the subscriptions are, waiting for me to do a payment, and that the auto-renew worked and whatever you had set up. So the Tides with the number 4 fishing.com had a ton of ads. And obviously they do that for a reason, because they want you to, just like XM Satellite or Pandora or any of the services out there, they want you to upgrade to where you're not going to see any ads and get any commercials, just like Prime and all, which Prime puts the 3-minute commercial in the front of your movie and says limited interruptions, and they make you watch 3 minutes of commercials. Same thing. But I do subscribe to stuff like the Pandora. I have XM Satellite on the boat. But the tidesforfishing.com, I recently, and I was using the app, but again, to use the app and go from checking the different days of what the wind is going to be, I also use the Windy app. So it's Nautude. I think it's Nauti, Nautide, Nautide is the icon and the spelling for Tides for Fishing's app. And I love it. I really do. And that's why, it's worth paying $20 for the year. No big deal. Just like the Navionics, it's worth paying the $50 for the year. And you do these things so that you can have the information and the intel that you need out there before you leave to make an educated decision. Now, who should take this advice? Teddy. What's up, Teddy? So I missed you the other day down at the dock. I did see your boat was gone. You probably saw my boat was gone when you came back, and you probably thought I was out there, but I wasn't, and it was howling out there, and he said he got soaked, and we made that educated decision to not go. We actually walked down the dock and stood on the dock and said, yeah, not happening. The minute we get out to the lighthouse, we're going to get soaked. Just because of the wind direction. The minute you hit a wave, it's just, whoosh, that's it. You're getting, so Teddy said to me, yep, he wished he didn't go out. And he stayed in the bay, and they got soaked in the bay. So they weren't even going to get out into the sound. And that was the day me and Kory really wanted to run west, and head west and see when we start running into the bunker, see when we start running into the bait and the pods. So we were hoping for a calmer day so that it's a little easier to see. They're still there when it's 1 or 2 foot chop. You just got to look for them a little harder. And obviously, it's harder to see. So on a nice flat, when it's a little flatter, they're a little easier to see the dark shades and the pods, and you know where they are, and you could pull up to them and see if there's any fish under them and see if they're being worked, if you got any boils going. But we're looking for the bait, and I want to tell you guys where it is and where we're finding them and what's happening out there. So the water temp is real good right now. It's usually where it is when I'm out on April 15th, so that's a good thing to say. We're probably, 10 days off, and wow, I think we're like 59 days away. 59 days away from the tournament. I mean, that's crazy. So before you know it, it's going to be Memorial Day weekend. And last year, the water temperature when we got out mid-April was 52 degrees in the bay. And the water temperature in the bay just hit 53. So I want to say we're almost 10 days behind schedule as far as the water temperature was concerned. How does that affect things? We're making the notes in the captain's log. I'll be able to make comparisons for you and let you know. But the bass are here. If you want to go out bass fishing, now's the time to go. Look, they're catching blackfish. You get into the shallow waters this time of the year, and you're going to get the blackfish. A lot of guys just go off the shoreline and throw some green crab, and you're going to hook up. They're here. And this year, I didn't see any seals in the bay. I didn't run into any seals whatsoever, and we were looking for them. We thought we might have saw one early in the season, but we didn't. I didn't see any seals. I have no confirmation of it yet. Some of the guys that we work with in the area, they posted a video. They definitely saw them. So, I know they're there, and the water temperature is right for them. But the blackfish, they're definitely here. The bass, they're definitely here. And you're going to start to see some big pictures, some pictures of some big bass for sure. This time of the year is when that water temperature hits. The magic number I always say is 55 degrees. When it hits 55, usually fishing in our area starts to get lights out. And I wanted to head west to see if we were going to get any bigger fish, and it's every year for the past 2 years. In fact, I remember telling another captain this at Ward Melville High School. For the last 2 years, me and Kory were leaving to head west, and we came across stacks of 30-pound bass, 25 and 30-pound fish. And we always say we don't want to pass the fish to go find fish. If they're here, they're here. And we were going to run into the back. We checked all the back harbors, all the estuaries, everywhere you could think of in my area. Me and Kory have been to. We wanted to see the bait. We wanted to see if there was anything going on. So far when we've been out there, we haven't seen any birds working, any fish tailing, any fish up on top of the surface working, any kind of bait, nothing. So there weren't any telltale signs when you got out there other than look for some bait. And when you found bait, you found fish for sure. And if you go where the water temperature is a little bit warmer, I think you have a better chance of finding them. Now that we're hitting the end of April, and this weekend, Saturday is the 26th. So, next weekend is May already. That's usually when it's lights out. From May to mid-June, end of June, it's the best fishing in our area for the striped bass. So we're going to show you in the videos all the different techniques that we use. Because when me and Kory go out, when the two of us go out, we don't go trolling. We won't troll. We're going to go. We love top water. We'll love to get them on the live line, snag a few bunker and put a nice circle hook on them and try a few different, ways that we're putting them on and try some different stuff. We like to throw the Nomad vibe into them and see if we could jig them on that, get them on that. And obviously the flood of spoons. I know Kenny called me up. Kenny can't wait. Kenny, I know you tuned in every week. I love you, man. And, yup, you know I gave you the open invite. And come down and join us. And, Manny, we got to get in touch, you know. Let's reach out and see how you doing out there. You're west of us. Out towards City Island. Let's see how you're doing so far on the bass. And, Frank, you got to come out and fish with me and Kory. You got to come join us. You're invited. There's an open invite. I know it's midway through the show, towards the end of the show. But I know we do have loyal listeners. And again, to my loyal listeners and to the people that we try so hard, it is 5:40 on Thursday. And I try to have this podcast up at 6 o'clock, and it's been impossible past couple of Thursdays. So I apologize to anybody that's looking forward to 6 o'clock because it does go up on Amazon Music and Spotify and iHeartRadio and iTunes, and, you know, so it's up there. And people are listening to it, and they get the feed when it comes up, which is cool. I see it on my phone. I actually get the feed, and it shows me Bay Rats and Buoys. You know, there's a new episode available, and it's up and going. So I know all that works. And I try to get it out in a timely fashion. I really do. And I'm very appreciative of everybody that listens. We got a lot of kids listening, too. I got to tell you. You know, I got kids from Ward Melville High School reaching out to me from the fishing show, you know. Recently was asked if I had any pictures, you know, to help out and do. And we didn't take a lot of pictures at that event. Next year we will. But I hope next year we could podcast and set something up where it's where we can really, you know, do something pretty cool for the event. And Bob Wilson's got a great staff there. He's got a great show, and he also has a great fishing club that he runs for the kids there. And that's what it's all about. So anything we could do to make that better, Bay Rats and Buoys, Captain Gaige, Kory, Sand City Charter, we're in. Anything we can do to help. So looking forward to that. But the season's kicking off. I'm ready. Let's go. I'll be on my boat next week, guaranteed. I don't care if it's pouring rain. I'll do it a day before, or I'll do it on Tuesday if I have to. I don't want to sit out there in the pouring rain, especially not with the electronics and the equipment and the cameras and the microphones and all that stuff. But I am going to try my hardest to make episode 29 of season 2, the first episode, sitting on the boat. And I really hope that's next week. I really do. I didn't even look at the weather yet. I'm playing it week by week. I look a few days ahead. I try to schedule my time. Me and Kory already know. We already have a plan to go out Monday because we're pushing off charters Saturday and Sunday because of the high winds that we're going to have. That we're going to shoot out the beginning of the week next week and get on them, go find them, stay on them. And this is what it's all about. So any information we get, we're going to pass on to you guys. Any intel you have, you want to pass on to us, go ahead. We appreciate it. That's what we're all about. A little reciprocation here. But again, appreciate you guys tuning in every week. This was episode 28 of Bay Rats and Buoys. Don't forget, I say it all the time, we got our first annual Striped Bass Invitational going down on Sunday, June 22nd. We want to thank all our sponsors and everybody involved. We'll thank everybody that signs up for this as they sign up. We really appreciate you. And it's going to be a ton of fun. It really is. Tagging and bragging. That is the tagline for the tournament. All right? We are going to be tagging and bragging all day. That is what we're going to do. And man, the smack talk is starting already. So I think we're in for an epic day. I really do. And I think that's how we're going to wrap up episode number 28, you know. Make sure you grab your edition of the latest edition of the Fisherman Magazine. Get your subscription. Check out the ad that we'll have. We'll have a full-page ad in the May edition of the magazine. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Tim, and the amazing staff over at the Fisherman Magazine. The Long Island Metro edition. You guys are awesome. And we're going to get them out on the boat, too. They're always welcome to come on the podcast and promote and do whatever they got to do. whatever they're working on, we'd be happy to help you and reciprocate and promote it for you. But in the meantime, everybody go get your magazine subscription. And I will see you guys next week sitting on the back of my boat. Captain Gaige, Bay Rats and Buoys, signing out. Over and out, guys. Wishing everybody bent rods, tight lines, and I'll see you out on the water.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Bay Rats and Buoys. Be sure to visit sandcitycharter.com and follow Captain Gaige on all our social media channels.